Great. So we're gonna do a breathing exercise to start, and we've kind of been working on the mindful breathing. And today we're just going to introduce the restrictive breathing, how we can kind of control the breath. And if you're interested in the neuroscience, I was having a little look today, and mindful and restrictive breathing upscales a neurotransmitter called noradrenaline, which does a lot of things actually, but when there's a lot of it, it helps make new connections in the brain. So it's kind of about focus and learning. So the restrictive breathing is if we have in the throat, just at the top of the throat, we can restrict the throat a little bit just to um, kind of make the breath slower. So the inhale and exhale, and it sounds a bit, this will be familiar to some of you, it sounds a bit like snoring. So it'll be like you make a kind of snoring noise when you breathe in, and as you exhale, it's you make a sound as if you're doing a HA sound, so like only with the mouth closed, so through the nose, but you have that same kind of breath. And we're just going to do that, and then going to do the same visualization of two of the 8 energetic channels. So hi Natasha, nice to see you. So the one that's going from the tailbone all the way up the spine, so the center of the back of the body, and then it comes to just the top of the mouth, and then as we breathe out with that HA sound, we can just visualize going down the second of the 8 energetic channels, down just the center of the front of the body, round back to the coccyx. So is that clear? Nice. So we'll just start off, before we do those breaths, start off our practice getting rid of anything we don't want, which we'll just do by doing 6 breaths out. So similar to how we do. Great. So just taking our hands on the stomach, just like all the time, and then just breathing in into the stomach, and then in your own time, just 6 out breaths through the nose or the mouth, whatever feels good. Great, and then we'll just do that one more time. Great. So that's just to prepare for the practice, kind of energetically and with our breath, getting everything out. And then we can start, so you can have a go at the restrictive breathing, just making a sound. And if it doesn't make a sound, don't worry, it's also the same. You can experiment with the restrictive and the non-restrictive breathing and seeing how you feel. So we'll just start with our 6 breaths, going up and down those 2 energetic channels. So just starting at the tailbone and just taking the awareness there and breathing out. And then when you're ready, breathing in, going up the spine, up over the top of the head, over the nose and to the top of the mouth, and then breathing out all the way down back to the tailbone. And breathing in. Up the spine, maybe lengthening the back of the neck, over the head, and then breathing out. Down the chest, under and round. Breathing in. To the top of the mouth, and then breathing out. All the way down the body. And then from the tailbone, breathing in. Up the spine. Lengthening up over the head, over the forehead and nose. And then breathing out. All the way down. And breathing out all the air in the lungs. And then last time, breathing in. Up over the top of the head. And out. And then breathing normally. So you can just see how the loud breath or kind of the sound can also help you maybe concentrate or stay kind of aware of the breath. And if you prefer the silent breath, then that's totally fine as well. So we'll just do that one more time and then we'll get into the practice. And this time we'll go with the third energetic channel, third of the 8, which is just right in the center of the body. So rather than on the periphery, just in the center, going up kind of from our belly button up all the way. So we can just imagine from that center, and then we'll just breathe in and we'll just kind of follow the line in our body up all the way, and then as we breathe out, just coming back down to our kind of central belly button area. So just when you're ready, and if the counts don't quite suit you, just modify in whatever way. So just coming to that area, and then when you're ready, breathing in with sound. And breathing out. Breathing in at the bottom of the belly button, traveling up. Breathing out. Breathing in. Traveling up the body. To the top of the head. And breathing out. Breathing in. To the top of the head, and then breathing out. And last breath, breathing out all the air, and then breathing in. Taking more air into the lungs, stretching the rib cage, and then breathing out. All the way. Great. So when you're ready, you can come to standing, just in a comfortable position, and we'll just start by just rolling the shoulders.
Nelly, sorry, are you recording?
Yes, thank you. I'll just double check. Yes. So I just record on the computer so that I can see everyone at the same time. So what we'll do is we'll just do some shoulder rolls, and as we roll up, I take my chest nice and out, stretching the chest, and I curve my spine this way. So taking the coccyx up, and then as I come forward, I take my hips forward. So and as I roll up, I can breathe in, and as we roll down, you can breathe out. So just twisting the spine this way, and then rounding the back the other way, and then twisting this way and rounding. Great. And then just taking the hands up, so letting the hands just fall against the legs, and just letting your whole body become loose. So any stress that's accumulated in the shoulders, or the back of the neck, and then we can alternate between taking our arms up and taking them down. And letting the body become more and more free. Great, and then switching. Again, the arms are loose and relaxed, and my upper body just twists from side to side. So and even at this point we can remember the arch of our legs, so keeping our hip points relaxed as we turn. and then pushing from the ground. Again, the arms don't come up, but they kind of swing because of the legs. And just massaging that shoulder muscle. And then pushing up even more. Nice, it's looking great. Great, and then we'll just shake out the legs. So first shaking out in front. And then taking it up, if that feels good. Just waking up the legs. And then just taking the knee up and round and then kicking it. So always just staying gentle with the body. Great, and then kicking to the side. Hopefully you have space. So just kicking up, leading with the knee, and then releasing. And it doesn't have to be so high, it can be here, just however feels good. And then kicking back. And then we'll just stretch out the toes on either side. And we can begin. So we'll just start by doing our sequence of the center, just to practice and to get it really in, and then we'll move forward. So we can start just by standing, just taking a second to make sure our arch of the legs going into the ground, all the way, hips relaxed, back down into the ground is nice and set. Our tailbone's nice and tucked under, connecting the arch of the back. And we just imagine like we have a plate here with water. And then we can begin, remembering the arch of our arms and moving from the center left to right. And we're just going to do 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks really great, everyone. And moving from side to side. 1, 2, keeping the weight nice and 50-50. So not moving the hips, but just moving this point. 8, 9, 10. And then we're just going to do the circles. 1, 2, so moving from here. Ideally, I'm trying not to involve my legs, so my arch of my legs, it's almost like it's separated from the top part of the body and it's just moving. 9, 10. Then going the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, that looks good. 5, 6, 7, weight stays 50-50. 8, 9, 10. Amazing. Taking our arm to the side and then doing a little circle to begin the big circle. Moving from the center. So moving down. So all my movements dictated by the center. 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. And then again, a small circle to begin. 1, 2, and just making sure we're moving the shoulder as little as possible, so it moves up and down a little, but from right to left it's just following the center. 5. Great. And we'll just come forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So making a figure of 8 with the center, which is then projected through our finger out. That looks really good, Holly. So moving the arms pretty much not at all on its own, so it's not this but this. 10, 1, 2, 3, and if it feels really weird and really awkward, that's super normal. Everyone looks like they're doing really well. 8, 9, 10. Great. And then we'll just take, and this time we just imagine the center like a ball also rolling forward. So the movement is projected in a spiral to the finger. That looks great, Sarah. Gabby. and then taking it to the other side. So this side might feel more difficult. That looks good, Zoe and Karen. And then just to finish off, we have taking the tailbone out and then in at the same time as taking the palms out and then in. So just remembering this movement here, like we did at the start, paired with the arms. So here we're joining the dantian, the inferior dantian or lower dantian, which is our center, and the Mingmen, which is another energetic point between the kidneys. 9, 10. And then same movement with the hips, but this time the hands come up before and they come down. So they kind of come up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks good, everyone. Then we can take it up and down. So this time we're just gonna take our ma bow, this posture here. So take it as wide as you want. Usually it's about 1.5 shoulder width. And then we have 70% of the weight forward and about 30 back. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. And if you can, just relax down, strengthen those legs, train the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks great. Side by side. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just keeping the hips nice and still. Just this point, if you can. 9, 10. Nice, Natasha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're going to do our circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Deborah, that's looking great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's great, Gabby. Amazing. Everyone looks like a pro. So, small circle to make a big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with time, just keeping this really still. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Then just pointing straight forward, 70% forward, and making our figure of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that looks good, Maria. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great, Patricia. 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Almost done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And last 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for this one, as my coccyx comes out, my palms face out. And as I push in, my palms come in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's looking good, everyone. Last one. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Amazing. Bringing it in. Shaking out the legs. So really normal for our legs to be burning. Really nice job, everyone. We're just training the legs because when they're nice and strong, our upper body can be really relaxed on top. And if you want, you can give yourself a little stretch, then taking a nice deep breath. And other side. And if you want, you can stretch the shoulders back at the same time. And yeah, just hold on to a wall or whatever. There's no need to balance. This is just to stretch out the legs, and you can give yourself a nice shake here. So for the body, each joint we can think of like a pearl, or kind of each part of the body we can think of as if our body is a necklace, a pearl necklace. We can think of each part as a pearl, and during this exercise we're basically cutting the necklace to really focus just on this one, if this one was our pearl. But of course, as Tai Chi says, our whole body, we want our whole body to move as one. So we want our whole body to move together. And the reason why we put such a focus on the center for this one is because the center initiates all the movements. So it's from here that each of the movements come. So of course it also affects the lower part of our body. So we're just gonna slowly go over this. So if the sequence of the center still feels like a lot and just like a big brain mush, that's fine. We'll just, keep going, and with practice it just becomes so much more clear. So when we were doing the sequence of the center, our weight was just staying still, but of course when we move the center, if it's all connected, the weight distributes. So as I turn the center, my weight would come more to this side, and as I turn, it would come more to this side. Does that kind of make sense? So when we want all of the movements to be dictated by this center point, then as it turns, it moves. And basically the way we want it to move is in a figure of 8. So if I have a figure of 8 put on its side, so like this, and then if I was just to flip that down onto the ground, so if you guys could see from above, the weight would be going in a figure of 8. So it would be going to the front of this foot, around to the back, diagonally back to the front to this foot, around and back. So my weight through the movement of the center comes pretty much all on this foot, moves around, and then diagonally to this foot. So in the movements, we want the movements to be harmonious and to be continuous. So say if I was to move here and then move here, I would have to, if I was to move and then come back, I would have to stop and then turn around. Even if I was doing it really fast, there's a point where I stop. But with this, the figure of 8, we come back into the center, but it's also just continuous, it doesn't stop. So yeah, it looks good, everyone giving it a go. So taking the center to the side, the weight goes round, does everyone feel that trajectory? Is that trajectory kind of clear for everyone? Okay, good. So now what we're going to do, just to practice this, we're just going to take 1 or 2 steps, also depending on how much space you have. So as I come into this foot, all the weight is on this foot, and I turn more, coming forward, so taking it to the left. So it's with the figure of 8. So starting with just our horizontal kind of figure of 8 here, as the weight moves in the figure of 8, dictated by the center. So that basically means that when I turn my center here, the weight shifts to the same side that the center, and then as my center comes round, the weight goes round, and then diagonally as it comes to this side, the weight goes to this side. Okay. So for when we walk, just to kind of make that even more clear in the mind, my center goes to this point, the weight is all on this leg, and then as my center shifts, comes round, and the figure of 8 kind of now becomes less of a figure of 8 and more kind of pattern, if that makes sense. So the figure, what I'm talking about in terms of the figure of 8, is if my weight had a pencil, and then the point which was heaviest made kind of a drawing on the floor, there would be a figure of 8. And then the figure of 8 continues because the weight goes here, it comes forward, goes round, comes forward, and goes round. And our leg just kind of comes in, because as we turn the center, naturally our leg would come to this center point, and then just taking the heel down and then shifting the weight. So just taking nice and normal steps, so they don't have to be super big, and just even trying one step and then taking the other foot parallel if you don't have much space. So we'll just do that together. Give me a wave if you feel like you understand this kind of concept of the figure of 8 on the ground. Okay. Great. And give me a wave if you feel like you can feel it. Okay, great. So don't worry, this is just the very start of being introduced to it. But just, like I say, just imagine this, the weight, the point where the weight is most. So say there was just one kind of moving point where the weight is most. If that was to make a drawing on the floor, then, or if you were to see me from above, you would see that with my weight, I would be creating this figure. So my weight is going all the way around, diagonally across, and round. And then when I walk, it's just the same, except from that it's kind of moving forward as well. So as I turn round, my upper body is consistently twisting going to one side and then the other. So just to make that a bit easier, you can take your arms up into our arch of the arms and you can point your fingers fingers forward, and then you can just see where our figure of 8 is, led by the center, and then as we step, the weight comes forward. Nice. So we'll just do that a couple of times. If it doesn't make a lot of sense, no worries. Just start to picture that figure of 8, even if you can't really feel your weight going, just you can start to imagine it and slowly it'll come. So taking the weight to one side, round, comes round, and then just taking a step, moving to the left side, taking a step, and then we'll just do that one more time. So if I was to kind of stand on this one toe, all my weight would be on that one point, and if I was then to draw with that, you could see where I would, if that kind of had a pencil or something, you could see it. And it's kind of the same concept, only that some of the weight is still distributed on kind of somewhere. It's just kind of where the weight drops down. So last time, just stepping. Great, nice job everyone. We'll do some questions, but we'll just shake it out before. So shaking off any tensions, maybe even frustrations, if that felt difficult. No worries. Breathing into the shoulders, bringing it up. Massaging the shoulder. And then up again. And then shaking out the legs, kicking out the legs. Stretching the feet. And then this time, so this foot is facing forwards and this foot is facing towards the foot, and then the heel just comes down, and that same leg where the heels come down, I just take my shoulder nice and forward, I wrap the other arm and we twist 3 times, and then just doing the same on the other side. So pushing the shoulder forward and then twisting. And then again, pushing forward. And again. Great. Then just shaking out the legs, shaking the hips, having fun with this one, shaking the upper body. Great. So I'll just see if there's any questions and then we'll do a final breathing.
When we're doing the rotation or the figure eight, the weight is changing front to back as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of the weight isn't obviously just solely on one place, but the majority of the weight is always just on one point. So if I was to kind of be 50-50, the point would just be kind of straight down through the midline. Then if I was 70, the point would kind of shift to the side where there's more weight. So yeah, the kind of majority of the weight moves from the front of the foot to the back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When we do the repeat, with these ones, with the wider stands, is it 70% of the weight to one leg and 30? Really? Okay. That really puzzles me. But I suddenly thought I misunderstand. But if that's right, okay, I try my best.
Yeah, so it's just 70 forward. It's really just what we're basically just strengthening the legs even more by doing kind of one leg at a time, and also quite a lot of the postures are usually to one side, so the weight's to one side. It's not really ever in the middle, it's always either to the left or the right, so we're kind of training our legs for that, and also it kind of creates a more of a separation between the center and the lower body, which is really just for learning when we're actually doing Tai Chi, all of our body moves as one. So we would never stay still in the bottom and kind of move this part. It's just really to start to feel, kind of just to help us feel. But if it feels like awkward or weird or like kind of it doesn't make any sense, like it's totally normal, and just to kind of practice a little bit, and that will help.
It's difficult to remember not to get your hips involved. You're so busy concentrating on doing the 8, then suddenly I find my hips are doing all the work, and then bring it back, not moving my hips again.
Yeah, it's super normal. And it's just really, so the hips are the first, if our body's all connected, the hips are really the first thing that then move as well. So when I move, for example, with the weight, when I'm moving in Tai Chi, it's they're not one thing, but they're connected. So the first thing after the center that moves will be the hip, but that slight separation is quite important. But yeah, it's quite difficult not to get funky with it.
I find myself making this sound like a camel.
Nice. Maria.
Yeah, I mean, the circles, that's what I do find it very challenging to just move the upper body because I find because my hips are swaying as well. So do you have any tips on how to just move the upper body, because how to stay just moving the upper body?
I think, thanks, Deborah. I think what I would suggest maybe is two things. So one would be relaxing the hip points a lot. So that just really gives you more space to move. It really helps as well for this one. And then specifically for the circle one is just start small with the circle. So it doesn't have to be really a big circle because then it's kind of harder not to move everything. But just as if it's kind of like you're colouring in just a point, and then slowly, it'll come and it'll become a lot easier.
Okay, thanks.
Nice. Yeah.
It's just for the figure of eight. So is it the weight coming off of the front of the foot going towards the back of the next foot? Yeah.
So rather it goes the other way. So it goes the front of one foot to the back of the other foot and then diagonally to the front. I mean, it can go either way. So it can also go, I don't know if clockwise and anti-clockwise makes sense here, but it can also go from the heel to the toe. But that's usually when we're walking backwards, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that's very clear. So usually when we're walking front, it's like the weight goes to the front, around the back, and then to the front, if that makes sense. And then when we're walking backwards, I don't know if this is just going to confuse everyone. I'll leave backwards for the next time.
When you're walking, you're putting your heel down first.
Yeah, so
what the weight is, or
yeah, so the heel, kind of the whole foot comes down before any weight is transferred. But yeah, well spotted. So basically, I still rotate a little bit back before I then move any weight kind of to the front, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, great question. Is there any more questions? Great. How is everyone feeling with the sequence of the center? Do you feel like you've kind of memorized it, or it's becoming more familiar? It's becoming easier, or?
I feel like today I really felt it. Like I was like, yes, I feel it. But that was the first time after a bit of practice. So,
amazing.
I was just like, oh yeah. So,
yeah.
No, that was good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and not to worry if it's kind of feeling really weird and strange. But I'm glad. And everyone's looking just really much further than the first week, so it's really great to see. Sweet, so we'll just do a little breathing. Feel free to grab a pillow or lie down. This one is gonna be quite relaxed. Yeah, and grab a jumper or blanket if you feel. We'll wait for you. Great. I'm guessing the people who are away are lying down. I hope that everyone's kind of ready. I'll maybe give you another minute in case people are away to get stuff. Okay. Seeing different limbs coming up. Amazing. Okay, so just make yourself comfortable, and we're just gonna do, if it feels good and feels relaxing, you can do the audible breath, the restrictive kind of breath, and if it doesn't feel so good, just breathing in. And this time what we're gonna do is focus in first, so do a bit of mindful breathing, focusing in where we can feel the breath with different sensations, and then we're just gonna focus in on this area here, so kind of that center. So if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and then just start breathing. So breathing in and out. And if you're doing the audible breath, you can just take your awareness to the sound. And if you're not doing the audible breath, you can feel where it feels like a nice sensation, whether that's feeling the air kind of going in to the throat or into the nose, or maybe feeling it in the chest. So wherever feels pleasant or at least neutral. And if you're doing the audible, you can also pick another sensation if that feels better. So breathing together, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing all the air out. Breathing in and out. And in and out. And this time breathing into the chest, expanding the chest, stretching the intercostal muscles, the muscles between the ribs, and out. Breathing in into the chest and out. Stretching the chest, breathing in